Welcome to the show today. I'm Sarah J. Cross, and I'm here to support you on your journey to becoming a successful product business owner with tips, strategies, and stories to guide you through the good times and the challenges of running a product-based business. Today, we're talking to Shalini Nandan-Singh, lawyer, contract specialist, speaker, and advocate for women in business. Shalini helps Australian service-based entrepreneurs protect their business and their bottom line with empowered legal advice and contracts. And today, she's here to talk to us about the legal side of starting your business and introducing a new product to market. Welcome, Shalini.
Hello, Sarah. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great for you to be here. So this is a really interesting topic for me, as I have found a lot of product-based entrepreneurs starting out, they create a hobby and they decided to go into business after their friends and family showed interest in their product. They've got the good feedback going, and then it goes from making something they personally love, what becomes a side hustle, then in a lot of cases it kind of just explodes from there. And if you're not ready legally, you can quickly become overwhelmed with it all and lose confidence in the potential success of your business. But it's quite scary to think that it all could go wrong if you don't cover yourself properly.
Right. The biggest thing I think is if you have a hobby or a sideline hustle, that you really need to get very well organized. When you are transitioning from a hobby to a business, you've got to know it's going to sell. Okay, you've got to know you're fixing a problem. You've got to know you've got to market. You've got to have a price point correctly. All of those things. So in that phase, you're actually going to be talking to quite a lot of people and getting advice from different people in your business. So you're sharing your ideas or your beautiful business idea, your innovation, you may have a different way that you want to do something, deliver something, advertise something, market something. Be careful who you're talking to, because ideas are very easily taken and duplicated. So get a non-disclosure agreement, also known as a confidentiality agreement. And it's a very simple document. It puts people that you're talking to on notice that whatever you're going to discuss with them is private and confidential. So that's the first thing, transitioning from hobby to business. Then, of course, you need to look at your business setup, make sure that how you're set up, whether it's as a sole trader or whether you need to be in a partnership or a company. You need to have these legal relationships sorted out. Sole trader, not so much. But if you're doing it as a partnership with someone, very important to get advice and an agreement together, because this is, when you go into a partnership with someone to launch a product into the market, everyone's got hopes and dreams, right? But people's capacity to deliver, to invest time and effort and money is different. All those things need to be acknowledged, and the profit sharing has to be acknowledged as well. The expense sharing has to be acknowledged, and all that is done in a partnership agreement. Before you do it, best to have a chat with someone like myself, because I can tell you how to prepare for it. You don't wake up one day and say, I want to have a partnership agreement. Partnerships are developed over time. So you actually spend a bit of time with the other person, and then you realize, okay, I think we're going to do this together. So you prepare for it, and you have a series of questions that you need to answer and record agreement on, so that when it comes time for the partnership agreement, there's no surprises.
And that's the thing, it's protecting your better interest and your legal and financial assets when you're entering into any type of agreement. But particularly, I have seen in the course of my business years a lot of partnerships that don't actually have an agreement drawn up. It's a verbal agreement or something that evolves, with a friend, and it doesn't always, it sometimes can end in tears. It doesn't always go so well, because like you said, people have different expectations and limitations of what they're going to contribute. And I see partnerships work really, really well with husbands and wife teams, but I have to say a lot of people don't enter into anything that is legally agreed.
Yes. So partnerships between husband and wife teams work because you've got other things that you are working hard to do together, and you've kind of like either proven yourself or you've not proven yourself, right? So you know the devil you're dealing with because you live with them.
Yeah.
Right. But when you enter into a partnership with a colleague or a friend, it's still really uncharted waters. You're setting up a business that's going to involve time, money, and effort. And what's more, you're going to be engaging with people that are going to pay you money. Yeah. So all that is a responsible business. You know, you have to make those over that. Yes, absolutely, because there are people like myself around that can say, they can help you have those conversations to get ready for your partnership agreement, so that we are part of the development of the relationship. It's not like, you know, you have to do it all on your own. So, and you know, in difficult times, it's a really key business skill to have, to be able to realize what's important and then negotiate terms.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So just getting the structure set up financially with, you know, how you're going to trade, and also having those agreements in place can just safeguard against any type of things that might come back to haunt you or bite you in the long term. It's actually almost like a sort of a safety net, isn't it, to set things up correctly from the start and spend a bit of money doing the things the right way, so then, you know, there's no repercussions later should things go pear-shaped.
Well, you can never know when things will go pear-shaped, as we're all aware, right? We just don't know. If you can just view your contract, whether it's your client contract, whether it's your non-disclosure agreement, whether it's your terms of service or terms of sale on your online shop, whether it's your agreement with your wholesalers, your agreement with your distributors or your designers, if you can see those, each of those documents as a platform for negotiation, as a blueprint or a quality assurance document that sets out how you're going to deal with these people that are important to your business. When things do go off the rails, you have something to come back to, a framework to work from.
Yeah, absolutely. So Shalini, tell us more about your business. How did it come about? Who do you help and what do you do for them?
Well, I started Legally Shalini 5 years ago now, and I started it because I just wanted to be inside people's businesses. It's a very nosy. It sounds really nosy. But the thing that excites me is being in business. Yeah. I happen to be a lawyer, but the thing I love about it is that I'm not working for someone else. It's my business, and I love the whole small businessy side of it. And it was really important to me that I also moved back from traditional private practice, where there was, like, you know, by the time you saw me, you had to go through a PA, a receptionist, you know, and it was all in person. And I really just wanted to work very independently and be very mobile. And so I actually set up this business exactly the way my clients are. You know, I'm walking the walk and talking the talk of my clients. So then I realized that, well, this is where my service needs to live. Because you know, it's aligned. I'm not teaching something I'm not already doing. I'm not drafting documents that I'm not already using. You know, it's just that type of thing. I also find that the small business world, the women who are and men who are the face and the heart of their business, are very optimistic. Yeah, they're a happy lot. Yes. Whereas in legal life, we don't often meet happy people.
No, it's probably a bit dry, isn't it? So you've sort of got the benefit of being able to.
Yes. So we always sort of like, we always come. In my work today, I spend time with more people who are building things than I am with people who are dismantling things, which is what the other end of legal life is about. Yeah, that was a lifestyle and a mental health choice, really, on my part. So that's who I help. I help men and women who are really the face of their businesses, who are, they're it. And for them, they need me to talk about things like we've talked about today, get ready for their documentation, work out what's a priority, untangle difficult client situations, get some skills from me about how to have those difficult conversations, get some support around how to, advocate for themselves. So, that's what I do. Thank you for asking.
Which is great. I mean, it's very high touch. It's a bit like what I do with, working with closely with my product clients. But it's also so rewarding just to sort of feel that the passion that people have for creating their own enterprise, they're building their dream, and you can be part of that journey. I think that's always what, makes you good at the end of the day. That you're adding value and that, you're providing the support that they need to build something towards that dream. So I love that you educate, protect and empower women. That's what I love doing the same. So because business shouldn't be so scary and that you're afraid to jump in and give it a go, it can be really hard at first because the legal side can be quite complex and confusing when you don't have a background in it. So what do you suggest, in terms of being able to sort of, in layman's terms, for people to be able to sort of have an understanding and being at a level of being comfortable with contracts?
Okay. Look, it's really important to not be afraid of what's going on in your business. So it's like with your children, if something's not quite right with them, you start to think of all sorts of ways to help them. Do they need to go to the doctor? Do they need a psychologist? Do they need a counsellor? Do I need to talk to a teacher? Maybe their best friend, maybe your best friend, who knows? But your brain automatically wants to acknowledge there's a problem and then you go on to fix it. In business, we make the mistake of being in denial about a few things. That a client may not be happy. It's not, and it's mentally like absolutely draining your energy, but you're not talking about it to anybody, right? You're not putting it on the table. You're not getting advice. So that's the starting point of being able to be comfortable with contracts. Because when you come to me and say, Shalini, I need terms and conditions now because I've had a couple of problematic clients, or I'm ready for them now, or my business is expanding, or I realize now with a few things happening that I probably should have these in place. I am going to ask you a lot of questions about your business.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you your thoughts on how do you want to say certain things? How comfortable are you actually having conversations around money, around delivery, around what you expect your clients to do so that you can deliver the service, what you expect your customers to do in order to get a refund, what you expect to say to them when they ring you up and say, this is not what I ordered, I don't want this anymore, or I've changed my mind. It's one thing to have it in a contract, but it's also very important that if that situation was right in front of you and you were talking to that person, what are you going to say? Okay, so if we need to get that right before we go into the contract. If you get that right, and that's what's reflected in your contract, you will be comfortable with your contract, I promise you. Because you know your contract then, because you know your business, you know what your responses are going to be. And why do you know all that? Because you've checked in with someone who's going to say, yeah, that's the right thing to say. And no, don't say it that way. Say it this way because this is the proper response in compliance with whatever consumer law requirement, whatever, the best outcome response for everybody it would be. So yes, people are very uncomfortable with contracts, but that is changing because the requirement for them is rising, right? So that it's like if you're going to be in business, okay, you're going to have to move out of doing your accounts on a spreadsheet to a proper accounting thing.
Yeah.
Same
Diagram,
with,
yes.
you're going to move to Xero or MYOB or whatever it is, right? But if you're going to be in business, you're going to have to realize that at some point you're going to need that document that lays down the framework for working with you or buying from you.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
being in a wholesale arrangement with you, or a manufacturing agreement with you, or a design agreement, right? You want to progress your business because you know how you work, and you want to make it as easy as possible for everyone else that's going to help you get your business from A to B or C or D or E as well as possible. So it's up to you.
Absolutely.
It's up to you. I'm handing it right back to you. You've got to get up there and step up and accept that that's the case, and then start doing what you can to support yourself, to get advice, get help, get training, get coaching from someone like myself or from whoever legal professional that you're happy with, to be feeling that, okay, what's in your contracts is how you actually want to operate.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Shalini, let's just say that I've just decided to turn my hobby, my side hustle, into a business. I know how to make the product, and I figure I can sell it online, at markets, at events, maybe even wholesale to companies. Where do I start? If I want to make sure I'm setting it all up responsibly and legally, and I'm getting all my ducks in a row, where do you suggest I start? Is that seeking out someone like yourself, seeking out a professional to get advice?
Look, I think that's the easiest thing. It's very easy now to find help. Okay, so to talk to me and say, to get an appointment, to talk to someone like myself. I was going to say to get an appointment with me. That's not what I'm saying. Like, find a professional like myself who is in the business of setting up small businesses and advising them. It's not difficult. It's usually a call. It's usually a phone call or a Zoom call, and they say, this is what I want to do. What do I need to do? And then I'll ask them a few questions and say, right, from where I sit, this is what I think you need to do. But that call doesn't cost anything. So it's really very accessible. That is a good place to start. A lot of businesses like mine, and if you go onto my website, we've got numerous checklists and infographics and blogs and free resources that will tell you where to go or how to think about certain things to progress your business from hobby to fully fledged, earning businesses. So I look, my advice now is that with Google, with Facebook, the reality is that information is at your tips. The trick is to find the right information.
Right information.
So if you're going to be scrolling through hundreds of posts in a Facebook group, to your question about what agreements do you think I need, I'm moving my business from a hobby to a side hustle, contact the person that answers you who is a lawyer, right? Go onto their website and see that they are dealing with people like you all the time, and not in some other kind of part of law, because that's not another
some big
thing.
Corporate law.
Small business. Be discerning. Be discerning. Do a bit of homework on who you're going to for advice. And this is not just for lawyers. Even if you're looking for an accountant or a coach or a massage therapist, you do your homework and you find the person that is dealing with your problem all the time, and they will be the best person to talk to.
Yeah, a specialist in a particular field.
A niche,
and small business. And a small business specialist has that understanding of working with small business owners, solopreneurs. They know what all the pain points are and what is needed without the actual cost of going to a large city corporate law firm, where they're going to obviously be, charging at a totally different level and not offering really, like what you said before, that having that sort of face-to-face or that on-the-ground personalised service.
But it's not only
and I think that's what I really love about it.
So it's not only that. If you go to a big firm, a corporate street front, firm and you're an online entrepreneur that's really personal in your service, you know, they're not going to come at you from where you're at. They're going to come at you from where they're at, which is corporate.
Yes.
Okay.
Corporate.
So you really want to work with someone that gets your brand, that gets your message, that gets your values, that understands how you show up, that understands the platforms that you show up on, that understands the psychology of your customer, that will understand that the language that you use must be aligned with your service, with your branding, and be understandable, comprehensible, and accepted by your customer or your client. And these are the things that if you just keep those things in mind, do a little bit more homework, stalk a little bit more the people you want to work with, you'll find the right person.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I really love about your work. I mean, we've obviously worked together as well in terms of working together. We constructed my contract for my mastermind program. And what I really loved was that you were actually asking me questions that related directly to how my customers, how my clients think and what their requirements were. It wasn't just a white label tick a box or fill in, a template. It was actually customized and spoke in the way that I speak to my clients. And it was easy to comprehend and understand for anybody. It wasn't in some sort of jargon that didn't make sense to most people. So I think that's the thing, it's actually about having good relationships and aligning yourself with people who are operators that understand your business and your ethos and your values and how you want to deliver and present your business. And obviously, at the same time, it's keeping it all legally binding, so that
it has to be legally robust. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So what about, Shalini, for those of us who have been in business for a while and things are going smoothly, but we haven't had any big problems so far, would you recommend doing a legal checkup anyway, a bit of an audit?
Well, what happens is your contracts are not set and forget. They're living documents, okay? Your business is growing, you are growing, even though you think things are going fine. What I can say is that your business is growing. There might be tweaks to your services. You may be adding services. You may be adding similar services, similar products. Every couple, if you find that you haven't reviewed your documents in 2 years or 3 years, I think that when you review your business, you should review your contracts. So if they were drafted by someone that understood your business in the first place, having them reviewed is not a difficult or expensive exercise.
So Shalini, let's just say we're going to, need to add a new product or a new service to our business, and we want to look at the legalities of that, and we think in terms of legals, what is it that we need to put in place to give the business protection, or whether it be anything to do with the product in the manufacturing process or any of our suppliers, contractors. What sort of product are we looking at, and in terms of what sort of cost would we be looking at outlaying? For people in a small business, I think, they're always a bit fearful of, lawyers are so expensive. I don't know if my business can afford it. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Look, all lawyers work differently, okay? For me, I think that initial advice should be accessible to actually legal advice, full stop, should be accessible. In the first instance, if someone just wants to have a chat about what they, that I've got a business, what do I need, right? That can fall into the umbrella of a discovery call, and is usually free. It's a 20-minute call. This is what I do, okay? You get a questionnaire that gives me a bit of background about your business. On the call, I can say to you, okay, thank you for your answers. I've had a look at your website. I've had a look at your business. These are the documents I think you need.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's sometimes enough for people, because they've got a couple of important things. They know what they need to get, and they know how much it'll cost, because that's what that call is about. If you have specific problems with people in your business, or with clients, with customers, whatever, that you have specific issues that get, then that is paid advice, okay? Because we are now dealing with two parties. You are now advising on rights and obligations, and quite possibly I may need to write a letter, I may need to intervene. There might be something that some specific actions that need to be taken. So the point of it all is that don't be put off because you have this thing in your head that legal advice is expensive, and I wouldn't even know what to ask anyway, right? It really is your responsibility in many ways to help your business by seeking advice, not just about your contracts, but about your finances, about your marketing, about your business development, okay? Each time you do that, you're investing in your business.
Yeah.
And there's enough out there for you to actually phone people up or send an email and say, I want to talk to you about this. How much is it going to cost? Most of the time, people will say, hey, here's my calendar, book in a chat. Let me talk to you before I tell you what you need.
Yeah.
Right? That chat, take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Okay? Because
absolutely. I don't think people actually, I don't think they know that that's always available, Shalini. I mean,
well, you can always, you ask. If you don't ask, you don't get. That's as simple as that. And if you really want to talk to someone, you can always send them a message, an email, and say, I would like to talk to you about X, Y, Z. Do you have a discovery call I can book into? Put it on to them. Right? Ask for it. And I tell you what, most people will say, yeah, sure, here's my calendar. They'll say, yeah, sure, give me your number, I'll give you a call. You'd be surprised at how approachable people are. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And so, but I would also want to address so you've had the chat and you realize you need a contract and you get the fee for it, okay? And you look at the fee and you think, oh, I'm not ready for this yet. Let me tell you something. We are never ready for any fees that anybody throws at us. Okay? We're not even ready for the grocery bill or the petrol fee we have to get. It's always an invoice or a fee is always like, oh my God, it's always a shock. But understand this much, that you can make it, it's up to you to make it happen for yourself, right? So I love it when people come back to me and say, I'm not ready for this right now, but how can I make it happen? Can you help me prioritize what I need to do? And I also want it to happen for them. So I will work out a timeline for them, work out what they can do in the meantime, because there is always something you can do in the meantime. Okay. Just do it under advice. Work out what you can do in the meantime. Then there is nothing stopping you as a business owner to negotiate terms. Say, look, I want to do this, but I need to pay it over a certain period of time. Or I need to do this, can I start it then? Or I need to do this, can I lock, especially if it's a special price. You know how you've seen it come up as, you're having a sale or something. And I always say to clients, the reason why I put everything in writing, Sarah, to a client, if I say, look, this is what I think you need, this is how much it costs, and if it's a particular time, and for any particular reason there is a special price attached to that, or a reduced price, because sometimes I have promotional drafting fees, etc. I always say to them, you need to hold on to this email, because if you come back to me in 6 months' time, my prices might have changed. So this locks it in for you. Okay, so don't be afraid to go back to a service provider and negotiate. Okay.
The terms
are not cast in stone. People what's the worst that can happen? They can say, no, I'm not the right person for you. Okay, that's good. You dodged a bullet. But then you can see exactly how that person relates, whether they're in fact a supporter of your business or whether they're just going to walk away.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. That's really good for everyone that's listening. You know, there are always many ways to negotiate terms so that it doesn't impact too greatly on your cash flow when you recognize that you actually need something like this
That's
in your
right.
business. You know that your business, it's a necessity that you have to move forward on. You don't want it to be that if it's not a lump sum amount up front, you can negotiate that you can make installment payments, you know, as long as
Yes.
you're actually being able to move forward. So Shalini, I see a lot of template-based resources out there, you know, for terms and conditions, privacy policies. When should we use a template and when should we work one-on-one with a lawyer?
Always choose a template from a lawyer or a legal practice or a legal services provider that resonates with your business. Okay, so if you're going to get a template for your beautiful little product-based business, be mindful that you get it from someone who, or an organization that has created it, that kind of has space for your business and hasn't
Yeah,
just produced some generic, heavily corporatized document.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
number one. Number two is you can use a template at any time, provided you get advice on it,
Yes.
right? What I say to clients is the smart thing to do is if you're thinking of going down the template road, check with the lawyer that so you've decided you can't afford the custom draft. Totally fine. You've found a template online that you think looks all right and is in your budget,
Yeah.
right? Understand this, that your budget must include a review fee.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel
Yeah.
you may or may not get it reviewed, but if the template's really not what you thought it would be, then that's where the problem lies. Even today, I had
Yeah.
a client that sent me a privacy policy that they generated from one of those free privacy policy generating tools online. And it was pages and
Mm-hmm.
pages long, and it covered all the US privacy stuff as well as GDPR, as well as a whole lot of stuff. It went on for pages, like totally unsuitable for an Australian-based online business that's run by an online small business. Now, it was very difficult. It would be very expensive for me and her for me to review that document because it's just
Yeah.
completely difficult to even
Yes.
the time it would take to dismantle it and rebuild it would be just, it's cheaper to just draft the whole thing myself. So
Yes.
when you're using a template, check in with someone that you are working with, like myself. So, Sarah, if you
Yeah.
find the template and you're happy, I'm not going to turn around to you and say, oh, no, don't use a template. It makes life easier for me if you do find a good template, right? And I just review it and do the due diligence around it, tailor it to your business. But check with me before you buy it. So I can go in and have a look and say, yeah, okay, this might work. Because then if you
Yes.
bring it to me, then I'm not going to reject it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But it has to be appropriate for where your business is at, whether it
Yes.
be that you are currently servicing Australian-based
Yes.
business and that you're servicing, or whether, you know, there's obviously in the future you decide to go international, you
That's
obviously
right.
might need, you know, some different agreements there.
That's right. And, you know, my templates have a note in them that if you are outside the Australian jurisdiction, contact me so that I can adjust it for your jurisdiction.
Yes,
Okay.
perfect.
So
Yeah,
it's
that's
not, you're
great.
not left out in the cold ever with me.
Yeah.
I'll always find, if I can't help you, always find someone, somewhere, somehow to get the outcome
Okay.
that you're seeking. But I have templates on my website that I've only put up there after I've drafted so many of them that I feel like this is the right thing to put up there for the people that are in my line of work, in my zone, and who follow, you know, who are
Yeah.
small businesses, solopreneurs, working for themselves, products online, consultancies, coaches, and all of that. So that's the zone I move in. That's who I've drafted for. So
Yeah.
it's really, you know, it's just a matter of finding that template that works for you. I don't have all the templates. I only have a selected number. I keep them for people who are in startup because I feel that as you get more complex and developed in your business, you really need to be having a conversation with someone alongside the development of your documentation.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know a lot of the listeners will be wondering this. What's the difference between having a frequently asked questions page on your website and having a terms and conditions page?
Okay, so FAQs is what we're talking about. The FAQs and different, they're really common in product sales websites, you know, because there's a whole list of questions that customers always have. So typically you would have in there, you know, what do I do about sizing? What if I want to return something? What if the colour's not right?
Yes.
All of that needs to be captured in your online terms of sale, your e-commerce policy, because FAQs are not a legally binding document.
That's right.
Right, they're just a couple of questions people have asked and you've bagged out some answers for them, but they're not agreeing to anything in that. When you have terms, no, they're not. It's just like, oh, it's general information. But they haven't actually, it's not actually an agreement between you and your customer at the point of sale.
Yes.
So at the point of sale is where you should have your terms of sale for the range of products that you're selling or the product that you're selling. And in that terms of sale, all those questions that affect the sale need to be addressed in the terms of sale. That is what the customer is agreeing to. That in the event of damage, in the event of a colour difference, in the event of a size difference, when I need to return, I agree that this is what will be done. So that's a really key difference. I've said it many times. Don't confuse your FAQs for your terms because they're not the same thing.
I think a lot of people are very, they don't realise that your terms and conditions of what you are expressing, you know, the legal terms, whereas your frequently asked questions are just, you know, how long do I have to wait to get my delivery? You know, what if I need to exchange something? Or, you know, it's not actually your policies of what actually happens should something go wrong or, which falls into your terms and conditions.
And I'll tell you something else. Many people go ahead and buy without even looking at the FAQs. But when the terms and conditions which would capture the FAQs as an agreement is at the point of sale as a tick box, then you know that they know that that's where the terms and conditions were before they went on to pay, right? Yeah. Because so many times I go onto a website to buy something, if I really want it, I don't even look at the FAQs.
I don't either.
I just go straight to the checkout and I look at the refund policy and say, oh, yeah, okay, I've got 7 days and if it's problematic, I need to take whatever. And then I just go tick and I go and pay.
Yes.
Okay, that's typical customer behaviour. And you've got to work with that. You can't just decide
you don't
okay every customer. Yeah,
you better read the fine print, don't you? And actually realise.
But as a business owner, you've got to make the fine print available to the customer at the appropriate place, not tucked away somewhere on your website as FAQs. It's got to be right there at the point of sale.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's really, really good advice, Shalini. So if you had just one piece of advice to give to someone who was thinking about making and selling products and starting their own business this year, what would that advice be? What's the one piece of advice you could give someone?
I'd love to say, you know, you need to talk to me. But my one piece of advice would be these are different times, interesting times. They really need to speak to someone like yourself.
Yeah.
And find the right coach for themselves to help them navigate this period. And that right coach, if they are at all responsible, will work in to their coaching service the conversation about how you need to get your legals right, how you need to get your finances sorted, how you need to get your marketing sorted. Okay, so as much as I'd like to say that you know, it's not true, When you are moving, doing something as important as transitioning from a side hustle to a fully fledged business. It's like moving from renting to building your house.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You got to you need someone who's going to help you navigate that. I'm one of those people, but it's actually very important that you get someone who's going to look at it holistically, and that is why I think
absolutely.
I work very closely with a lot of coaches in all different types of industries and types of the service delivery that they have, but I can't express enough that you get advice, that you only because it is so available.
Yes,
it's not like I'm asking you to look for hen's teeth. It's you need to just ask the questions and find the right person to work with. And in the product world, that would be you. In the if you've got a different type, you're building a social media business, there's other people that do that. If you're building a lifestyle coaching business, there's other people that do that. So it's very important that you look for that person in your niche,
specialist in your niche,
that's going to help you build your business. You'd be surprised as coaches and as a practitioner myself, how many people we know and how many industries we cut across.
I mean, I have a whole team of experts that I can readily recommended to work with my clients and people that reach out and work with me, and they've all been tried and tested. They're all suitable for small business owners, and that's what they do every day. They're specialists in that area for a reason. So you can just cut through a lot of the sort of the hard way and just find out directly. It's always nice to get that referral based recommendation for someone based on their specialty. So thank you so much, Shalini. You have really broken down the complexities of the law, in terms of what information we need and how to process it, how you can customize it. And you've spoken about reaching out and asking the questions, that you need to find, like be proactive as a small business owner and seek out the answers that you need in order to, set yourself up and safeguard your business for profitability and success. So I really appreciate you sharing everything with us today. Welcome. Where can people find you on the web if they'd like to know more?
Very easy. My business name is Legally Shalini, which is pretty much all you need to remember. I can be found through my website, legallyshalini.com.au. My Facebook business page is also under the name of Legally Shalini. And I'm not fussy how you find me. I'm not. I really am not. My business is online. I love working online, so I'm accessible online. I'm not picky whether you.
Wonderful. Yeah, so that's fabulous. So if that's where you can find Shalini. And if you've missed anything today in today's podcast interview, or you'd like to go back and revisit some of Shalini's advice of what she shared today with us all, you can click on the link to download today's show notes and get a copy of everything we've talked about today. So it's time for me to say goodbye, and I will see you in the next episode.